Now, Thereese, when was your first, well, that you can remember, what was your first psychic experience?
Oh, when I was about 2 years old, I remember very clearly. And I was very involved with the Elemental Kingdom. And I used to have a lot of playmates thereby. But also when I was about 4 years old, when I heard my name called from the sky, because I was very clairvoyant, and most children are, but for some reason I was very clairvoyant. And this woman in the sky, she was very beautiful with flowing hair, and she called me by my name and told me that it was her name as well, and that she would always be there for me to give me the strength that I've needed throughout my life. And she opened her arms and she threw roses down before me. And it's something that I've never forgotten, and she has been there for me. She's one of my guides.
I think I could never forget that either. So the thing is that a lot of people have the presumption that children, because they are very, very open, when they say they have an imaginary playmate, that they're really just pretending that they have a playmate. We in the occult know that they actually are playing with a spirit, correct?
Yes. Yes, children are very clairvoyant, they're very psychic. What happens is that your pineal gland, which the scientists found out that is very similar to your outside eyes, it even has a lid, and that children have the ability to see through the fourth dimension, beyond the veil. They even have past life recall. Only the thing is about children, many times, because they're just developing and they're in innocence and haven't been conditioned yet, they have a hard time distinguishing reality from fantasy. So at the age of 7, if they are not encouraged to keep that open, like many of the ancient civilizations, then what happens is that through the conditioning of the world, by the age of 7, the eyelid comes down.
Very nice. Now, with psychic awareness being, and I had mentioned before the show about psychic self-defense, there's always mechanisms that would actually trigger us to have to defend ourselves with our psychicness. What is one of yours?
Well, the thing is that thoughts are things, and clearly you can feel things through your etheric body, and as humans we tend to gate off a lot of information through our eyes, through our hearing, and that you have your sixth sense, so to speak, is there, has always been there, and you feel it. And when people are thinking negatively of you in some way, through their fears, through their misperceptions of who they are and so forth, you feel it. It comes like a cloud, and when you start reading auras, you perceive that in people.
Oh, sure.
And it's through the emotions, because every moment of every day, it is what you feel in your heart that it's a direct command in the mind of cosmos.
Now it's a funny thing, because I said that you're actually a very approachable witch here in Salem. So karma, I would say, is very good to you, because you actually don't shut down your fellow man. I've actually seen you, even in the malls, I have seen you. And I've always sensed you whenever you're around me, especially when you come through Bewitched. But I always sense you. But what I find very, very intriguing with you is that through the stages from, well, I'm 45, so let's say I came out being a witch at 16. You were an elder in the community then. You're still an elder in the community now. So what classes do you actually teach?
What classes? There are many. There are many different types of classes. It depends.
Are you doing a witchcraft class?
We're doing it in an elemental class.
Elemental magic.
Yes, and we also teach astrology and tarot, and so there are many, many different areas, of pursuits. Sometimes we'll teach runes, sometimes we'll teach the I Ching. It depends what people want.
Now, when we were actually discussing astrology, the I Ching, auras, tarot, Thereese, I know for a fact, is one of the best astrologers here in Salem, and there are not that many astrologing people here in Salem.
Well, actually, my business partner Michael Pendragon is the astrologer, and he does.
Okay.
I help him with it, but he is the astrologer.
And then there's also past life. And
yes, right.
Do you do past life?
I do some.
Okay.
But like I said, this kind of a...
Well, I'm sure you've learned from each other throughout the years.
Well, of course we did. Oh, after 30 years, yes.
Right, 30 years. Well, I think you look very young. When I asked about teaching, I was just wondering if you had upcoming classes coming for an October event, or if you're actually thinking about writing a book, anything of that nature.
Maybe in the future.
In the future.
In the
Well,
future.
we always know, we can always see. Do you read for yourself, Thereese? I'm just curious.
Yes, I do.
You do?
I do the cartouche, I do the I Ching. Like I said, I do runes. I will also do some scrying.
Sure thing.
And I will meditate. I'll go through a lot of meditations.
Sure.
And
Now, because the name of the show is Psychic Corner, and as we know, most guests that I actually have on the show, we discuss our psychic ability. So I am going to refrain from any kind of witchcraft questions at this point,
Sure.
due to the fact that we really want to work on the metaphysical realm of our
Sure,
psyche.
of course.
Because our religion is just that, it's our religion. It
That's
should be
right.
sacred to us,
Yes, of
right?
course.
If we decide to actually pass it on to others, that's a great thing, and we know that there are many people
Sure.
out there doing it.
Sure.
But I can actually say that I've actually attended circles with you in the past of where I actually saw a lot of magic happen. So on that note, I just wanted to say that compliment to you, because I actually feel you and I feel the magic. And anybody that has the ability to meet Thereese on the street will actually feel it as well. Back onto psychic. With tarot, what kind of a deck do you use?
I really love the Thoth deck, the Aleister Crowley deck, because there's a lot of astrology.
Okay.
And it's very colorful and very dramatic, and it has 3 magicians in it.
Sure. Now, you were born and raised here in Salem, correct?
Yes, I was.
And when you were actually coming into, let's say, your psychic realm, were you perceived to be a different type of child?
Oh, yes.
Okay. I'm sure, because the generation is so different. Right?
Yes.
Could you describe what it was like for you? Because I'm sure, you triumphed through a lot of different things throughout the years.
Well, Salem is the community of Salem growing up here is, believe it or not, is very conservative. And although the witch trials ended here, and there certainly is a lot of history aside from all that, aside from witchcraft, that it was very, it was perceived to be something very different then, and it was very misunderstood.
Sure.
Very misunderstood.
Thereese, how do you feel about, like, almost every single corner on Essex Street just about has a psychic reader now? How do you feel about that?
Well, I'm not exactly sure. I mean,
And I'm sure the question's probably a little vague.
little-
Let's put it this way: when you're a groundbreaker,
Right.
Miss Cabot is
Sure.
a groundbreaker.
Sure.
Gypsy and Richard Ravish, groundbreakers. And there weren't many,
Sure.
psychics
Right.
at that time in the community, even in the early '80s.
Right, that's true.
So what I mean is, I guess what I'm asking is, because I believe that everybody's psychic, and
Sure,
it all depends
of
if you
course
want to
there is,
develop
yes.
it. But I'm sure being a groundbreaker to see where it was when even, like I could just mention those people,
Right.
to that, my generation, to
Right.
where it is today.
Right.
I guess what is your conception of
well, the laws have
the
changed.
abilities, I guess?
Well, the laws have changed in town concerning psychic readings and so forth, and it was used to protect us as well and protect other people. And with the tourism accelerating, like a lot, incredibly, massively
Well,
fast.
there was almost 100,000 people
Exactly.
here in October,
It's good
just
to
on Halloween.
It's good to have a choice. It's good for people to have a choice.
I believe so. I believe so too. And
Yeah,
I wasn't
so-
trying to put you in a corner.
No. The
Please
thing
don't
is
think
that
so.
if people are meant to come to you, they will.
Yeah, and that's how I see. I
Yeah.
guess I see that too.
Right.
I just find it a very mass majority of people, probably because I'm on the central artery of the street.
Right.
And then seeing I guess my whole reference to this is that everybody has psychic ability. There's nobody that can actually say that somebody is a bad reader or a good reader. Everybody's going to have a good day. Everybody's going to have a bad day.
Right,
However, I have a tendency of referring people to the elders in the community. And have you actually found, with psychic realm anyway, that Salem in itself has become psychically open, too open?
At times, but certainly I work on putting a lot of protection around the city and around people,
Sure.
and around the community, that we're all mirrors of each other, and we all need to help each other.
Exactly, and of course Salem being the city of peace, because that's it actually comes from the word Shalom, is the name of Salem, and being the city of peace. You have belly dancing events, and can you tell me the dates that you have coming up?
Well, September 29th, we have some fresh new classes that are being taught on Wednesday, this time from 7:30 to 8:45, and Leah Amar is teaching.
Nice.
And she's studied many years in Egypt, and she taught in China for 7 years. In California, she's danced professionally, and she's a very, very good teacher. She's very beautiful, inside and out.
One thing I did want to mention is if you have not gone to the Oracle Chamber, there are a lot of unique items in your store. One of them, which I know that you make corn dolls,
Yes.
correct? But you also make something that a lot of witch stores, metaphysical stores, even psychic stores here in Salem do not carry, which are animal toys, cat toys.
Yes.
And you actually make them by hand.
Yes,
Could you
I
explain?
do. Well, I decided when I have 3 cats, and you know when you go to the pet store, you're always going to you can't help it. At times you want to buy a toy for your kitty,
Right.
so forth. And so I was looking at them and looking at the ingredients, going, "Wow, this is dangerous." So I was given. My niece had given me an old mink coat, and so I released the spirit. I always release the spirits of the animals, of any birds and so forth that I receive into the light. So I didn't want to hurt, throw it out. So what I did is that I used the fur to make catnip mice. I had bags and bags of wool, scrap wool. So I would cut them in squares, and then I would fill them with catnip, the best catnip, and some fiber fill, and I would by hand, and I would sew the mouse. I made the ears, I made the eyes, I braided the tails, and I even made the tongue. And they're very comical, they're very unique, and it's been very popular to the point where I haven't been able to keep up
Well, that's
making
good.
them.
That's good, because we know in downtime or dormant time you'll be very busy making them, right?
Yeah, they go crazy. The cats love them. Even old cats that don't seldom play, they just love them.
Very nice. Now, Don Lewis is actually going to be on the show soon.
Yes, charming man.
Yes, and you're actually, I could say, on the Wall of Fame, if you will, down at the World of Witches Museum down at Pickering Wharf here in Salem. Thereese actually has a history, basically, on the wall there, which is amazing, because it's nice to see local witches also incorporated into the museum. How did you feel about that when you were approached?
Oh, I was very honored, actually, and I said I would do my best, because I know that I'm part of the history along with Laurie Cabot, because Laurie Cabot brought out witchcraft in Salem.
Well, you were part of the first coven, correct?
Yes, I was a part of her very first coven, the Black Doves of Isis. And in fact, there is a temple in Egypt that does have, in fact, black doves.
Oh, wow.
And magic began, or witchcraft began, from Egyptian times.
Yes, I totally believe that's you. I know that's what I follow,
Yes.
is Egypt. With your psychic abilities, Thereese, have you ever been approached by law or to find a child?
Yes.
Could you explain?
Well, I have been approached by law enforcement people to help them, and also individuals who have had a lost child or a lost adult, and to this day, people still come to me for that.
Do you also give spiritual guidance?
Yes,
To
absolutely.
each individual?
Yes, absolutely.
Nice.
We all need that.
I think so too.
We all need a way show, someone to help pull you or point you in the right direction.
Right.
And this is, as psychics and as witches, this is what we're here
Exactly.
to do.